Well, she's one of the newest members of Congress and already one of the most closely watched. Democrat Analilia Mejia was sworn into office just over a week ago after a decisive special election win in the 11th District, taking over Governor Mikey Sherrill's old seat. Mejia is a progressive Democrat who led New Jersey's Working Families Party and a former top aide to Senator Bernie Sanders. And she's wasted no time staking out bold positions, pushing a $25 federal minimum wage, backing Medicare for all, and calling to abolish ICE. Now, with another election just weeks away, she faces early tests of both her politics and her leadership. Congresswoman Mejia joins us now. It's great to see you. You've been in office for a whole 9 days. I'm wondering if your space on the Hill is maybe a little bigger and different than your office that you had with Working Families here in Newark, which was about the size of a broom closet. Do they give freshmen a little bit more space than that?
I inherited Governor Mikey Sherrill's office, and so I am benefiting from the seniority and the space that the governor was able to occupy. That all changes if and when I return to Congress next year. But as you said, I am hitting the ground running on behalf of New Jersey 11th families. I know that we need to fight to get more money in people's pockets. I know that we need to fight to stop the chaos of ICE and replace it with a system that not only provides protection in our communities, but that is fair and just and transparent. And I do believe that healthcare is a human right and that it is unjust to think that people go ration their medicine or go without health care in a country as great as ours. And so it is with pride that I am pushing issues that really keep people up at night.
I was thinking back about your time here in the state and even as director for Senator Sanders, and you were critical of the political establishment, of the government system as it were, and maybe as it is. How do you sort of reconcile that? How do you plan to stay apart from that when you are a part of it now?
Well, my biggest critique of both sides of the aisle is that big money has captured our political system, our electoral system, our policymaking system. What I've been able to see over the 25 years of advocacy of organizing across the state of New Jersey is that power players who have big multi-billion-dollar PACs are able to flood the zone, or multi-million-dollar PACs, better yet. They're able to, in many ways, shape the ideas that our elected officials end up engaging in. They get to, in many ways, hold the pen on our policy making. And I think the biggest problem we as voters, as New Jerseyans, as Americans face is the outsized power of big money. And so even though I've been elected to office, I continue to push against this idea that big money and might makes right, that instead we should be focused on regular people. So I'm still not taking money from corporate PACs. I am still rejecting the idea of these big special interest groups essentially owning our elected officials. And instead, I'm doing the work of talking to regular, everyday New Jerseyans. I'm knocking on doors, I'm making phone calls, and I'm trying to connect with people on this idea that you should be the primary focus of your elected representative, that your interests should be primary, not that of billionaires, and that your daily struggles should be what your elected officials focus on, which again, I think I'm going to be able to continue to do for as long as the people of New Jersey's 11th Congressional District allow me.
Well,
I think it's important.
Your first piece of legislation, which we touched on, introducing this $25 federal minimum wage, which currently sits at $7.25. There, of course, is criticism that this would hurt suburban districts like yours that are full of small businesses, where those owners look at that number and say, I can't afford that. What's your response to them?
Well, in some ways, it's almost like Groundhog Day, because I remember the argument against raising the wage to $15. I'll remind folks that what we're talking about is not an overnight shift, but a gradual increase that will allow our families to be able to make more. The truth is, there is no corner in the United States in which making less than $25 an hour is tenable to families. There is no way that most communities can actually thrive if their workers, if their families are making so little money. And we have a responsibility to ensure that we're able to uplift families. Inflation is real and we can fight it in many ways, trying to lower costs, not allowing this president to throw tariffs around like Mardi Gras beads is one step. Making sure that we fight against monopolies and industries is another step to lower costs. But the truth is, putting more money in people's pockets matter. And New Jersey is evidence that we are able to do it in a way that is both smart, that is gradual, that respects the needs of employers and workers, and it won't implode our economy. I mean, New Jersey has led the way on raising the wage to $15, and our economy actually improved, was able to thrive because more people were able to engage in the economy than being pushed out.
Would you support a lower number if that could pass?
I would support anything that makes families a little bit more economically stable. I think that we need to vision, into the future. And again, this is a gradual increase that will allow us to be able to uplift families and keep our small businesses stable. I would welcome anything that would make sure that our viewers are able to do a little bit better. I mean, look, we're spending more on healthcare, 175% more on healthcare in 1 year. We're spending more on housing, upwards of 6% of an increase in just 1 year in housing costs. We're spending more on energy costs, upwards of 6%
Yeah.
of an increase in 1 year. And so again, most people listening, they know that they need a little bit more money in their pocket. And when we raise the floor, we raise everyone.
Let me ask you quickly about your position on ICE. Now you sit on the Homeland Security Committee. I wonder if your position on that has changed at all now that you're responsible for oversight, and now that there's funding pressure, very real funding pressure, on these agencies that you are overseeing.
Well, first, I'm so excited to be on Homeland Security, not only for immigration, but it is also the committee that deals with FEMA. And as we know, in New Jersey's 11th congressional district, flooding and flooding mitigation is a serious issue. And so it is with pride that I was able to join that committee. Now, my position on ICE, has always been that we need to abolish and replace. We need
What
to
would
have a
you replace
system
it
that
with, Congresswoman?
well, I would, first of all, ICE in its current formation has only existed for the past 22 years. This collapsing of this policing force and this border enforcement force that has been supersized by the Trump administration and then stripped of any responsibility, any transparency, any kind of accountability has resulted in the death of American citizens. Let's not forget that masked agents are able to roam across our streets, tear people off of the streets, are able to turn their weapons against the American people, reap chaos, and there's no accountability. And so my proposal is that we instead invest in judges in the system, that we instead invest in ensuring that our system is able to understand who we want to bring into the fabric of our nation in a more quick and effective way. If most viewers are able to fill out a credit card application and in seconds have an understanding of whether or not they're approved, then I think we could do better than waiting 7, 10, 11 years to determine someone who has entered the process, who is trying to integrate
Yeah.
into the fabric of
Will
our
you
nation,
support,
whether
will
or
you
not we want to
support,
bring them.
Congresswoman, a clean funding bill, even if it includes money for ICE as it currently stands?
I would support funding that would ensure that the American people are safe, that the American people have transparency, that the American people have accountability from their government, that we do not have to be fearful of having masked agents roaming our streets, kicking down doors, breaking car windows, stealing people off the streets, and not caring whether or not you're a citizen or not. Everyone is put in danger when one group of us is denied equal protection and and due process. What I want to do is make sure that our government upholds the Constitution, works smartly and transparently and fairly so that we all have fairness under our government. I think the American people don't want chaos, death, and destruction. The American people want to be able to feel safe in their communities and trust our institutions. And that's the responsibility I've taken on.
Congresswoman Mejia, 7 weeks until your next election. We'll be talking to you. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to all your viewers.